And believe it or not, some areas burned by the rimfire are still burning today. Fire Pkg is live for us tonight in Yosemite after spending some time touring that burned out area. And Darren, in terms of regrowth, are we seeing any of that yet?
Well, yes, but it depends on where you are, Eric. I'll tell you that when you drive into this park on Highway 120, which is the way we all come in from Sacramento, there are places you're going to drive through that are completely blackened, and there's nothing living there. But those are small patches. There are many other places in the park where things are already starting to grow back. It was a patchwork of burns, and it behaved differently in the national park than just over the border in the national forest, and there are some interesting reasons for why that is.
400 square miles, still blackened, more than a year after the rimfire first ignited. This was the largest wildfire ever recorded in the Sierra Nevada, and it took more than 2 months to contain it. As the rimfire ravaged the landscape, 5,000 firefighters from across the nation went to work on those front lines. Yosemite Fire Chief Kelly Martin was right in the thick of it.
So the rimfire is really fascinating for me.
In her 30 years of experience, Martin has never seen such a force behind a wildfire, which could have actually been much worse.
That whole area has burned.
But past fire burn areas helped slow down the spread of those flames.
And the fire either completely stopped or significantly slowed down. And in some areas where it did burn through, it didn't burn at a very high intensity, because its fire's already been in there at least once.
Those firefighting tactics left the Evergreen Lodge untouched by the flames.
It was a very scary time for everyone.
Co-owner of the lodge, Lee Zimmerman, remembers how close the fire came to swallowing up the resort.
Immediately south of the lodge, the fire came through very hot and just burned right to the treetops.
The Evergreen staff is thankful every day that fire crews saved the resort and their jobs from going up in flames.
We were very lucky in that they did an amazing job, and despite the fact that the fire came through right along our southern edge, we didn't lose a single tree on the property, and so we felt very fortunate.
While there are still scars, and will be throughout the park, that serve as reminders of how quickly flames can get out of control, there's another danger that worries firefighters.
Right now, you've come into the park at our third year of a drought, and we're very nervous about this fire season.
Another potential threat, tree roots that are smoldering deep underground.
Have been buried in big stump holes that are still burning, believe it or not, but because we didn't have good winter snowpack this year, we're finding more smokes that have been buried deep in the ground that are now starting to pop up.
And that was really one of the most eye-opening things about this, that a year later, because of the drought and how dry things are and the intensity of that fire, there are still patches underground where the heat has been able to maintain through winter. So kind of an interesting facet on the fire in that regard. Now, one of the other interesting things was the Park Service has done some progressive work here, particularly over the last 40 years, of purposely reintroducing fire because it's part of the natural cycle. Now, they've got a goal every year. They'd like to do 50,000 acres of managed, prescribed fire. But there's the goal, and then there's the reality. This year, they've been able to do 500. So nowhere near the goal of what they'd like to do or what needs to happen to reduce some of the buildup of fuels in the forest. And this is really a combination of a lot of things. There's a funding issue. You need to have the right weather conditions. There's an air quality issue. There are also wildfires, which steal resources and attention away from prescribed burning conditions. So there's a lot of work to be done, guys, but what little work they've already done proves that it is effective.
All right, Fire Pkg reporting live for us tonight from Yosemite. Thanks, Darren. Still ahead tonight, Sacramento